Ever wonder where an invention comes from? Some will change the world. Most never will. So how do you know if a good idea is actually a good idea?
The bright idea you have is just a starting point. And getting from that starting point to your goal requires all sorts of shifts and turns.
Invention doesn't really happen in some immaculate way where you get up in the morning and you take these components and you put them together and voila, there's my invention. It never happens that way.
Understanding the process of invention can change the way you see the world. But as the latest technology becomes more complex and harder to understand, how do you do that? Perhaps the best place to start is with the people who invent.
The guys in the ring that are actually changing the world are the inventors.
You probably don't know this man by name, but you may know someone who is alive today because of something he invented. Dean Kamen is one of America's most successful inventors. And like the way he commutes to his office in Manchester, New Hampshire, Kamen thinks that invention is not only important, but fun.
Most people I know that have participated in or even been around the emergence of a new idea get hooked. They want to do it more and more and more because it's exciting.
Kamen is best known for inventing the Segway, that odd, intriguing two-wheel human transport vehicle. But he also improved the design of the first stent that was used to keep people's arteries open, the portable kidney dialysis machine, and a host of other medical equipment. Kamen is inspired by pursuing new ideas.
I'm happy to tell you I never know where the next idea is going to come from. You get up in the morning, you go about life in some inexplicable way. All of a sudden, at the end of some interchange, there's a possibility that exists that didn't exist before that.
So we're changing some of these right now. What's working out well again?
For Kamen, invention is an essential part of being human, and nothing short of a way to see mankind's progress through history. From today's latest high-tech products, going back to man's earliest ideas.
Over 2,000 years ago, a guy like Archimedes figured out the laws of buoyancy and fluidics. 400 or 500 years ago, Galileo made observations that turned out to be stunningly accurate about how the world works. Newton's law, it's as accurate today as it was when he said it. Gravity isn't just a good idea, it's the law.
Kamen says that these basic laws of science have guided invention and mankind to the world we live in today.
The accumulation of all of those inventions, dating back to the wheel, have brought us to a world now where we have little machines running around on Mars, sending pictures back to us. We've had human beings stepping on the moon and coming back. We have people that have some terrible physical disease, and we give them some new solution, and their disease went away, and their life is improved. All of these things happen because somebody said, we're going to invent an alternative.
In the pantheon of American history, there are a few famous inventors that every school child knows, like Benjamin Franklin, Alexander Graham Bell, Thomas Edison, and the Wright brothers.
Invention is a very defining aspect of the American character. American society has always been based on invention, technology, business, industry. And if you look back, it's just a constant stream of invention.
America's very existence came about with the invention of a new form of government. The West was won by the invention of ways to control the land and cross it. American cities grew through the power of machines that drove an industrial revolution. And in the 20th century, science opened up radically new frontiers for invention, some that challenge our ability to even understand them.
The average kid, when Thomas Edison made some mechanical marvel, could look at it and sort of understand it. You can't look at the marvels of genomics and proteomics. They're down at the molecule level. Most of the sophisticated technologies can't be easily understood.
Even though the science is more complicated today, what lies behind the process of invention is still much the same as Thomas Edison defined it in his famous quote, that invention is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration.
The inspiration tends to be literally that flash, but the execution, especially these days where technology has gotten so sophisticated, takes a multidisciplinary group of people with all sorts of skill sets.
This highly complex process of invention today is why Kamen has built an elaborate machine shop in the middle of his company's offices at Decca Research. Here he can have an idea in the morning and build it by that afternoon.
When will those be done?
4 hours, 57 minutes.
In 4 hours and 57 minutes, I'll come back and look at a prototype, and I hope you're smiling. One of the reasons the shop is at the center of Decca is because it's very easy to take abstract ideas and imagine that they'll work, and go forward and put in a lot of time and a lot of effort designing a system that you think will do something. We make it, and we look at it, and sometimes serendipity. It looks better than you thought. Most of the time you look at it and you go, oh, didn't think about that.
Inventing largely is a story of failure rather than success. And so I think it must take an enormously optimistic personality to be an inventor, because it's such a discouraging vocation.
We don't want to fail. I've just recognized it's unavoidable. But failure in the process of inventing is okay. Let's learn from it, pick ourselves up, and move on.
With invention, you're trying to do something nobody's done before, right? And so it's not a straightforward process. It requires a willingness to explore avenues that might seem foolish even, but that might in fact give you knowledge or even a way of doing things that you hadn't thought of before.
All inventions go through a process of can't possibly be. It might work. Wow, that prototype is showing promise. And eventually you get to a point where, oh, people are going to want this.
Kevin was up and he was testing it this morning, and he said it worked great and he wasn't going to have to put the project on. So we're pretty good.
It's good to have a shop right
Yeah,
here.
every once in a while it is, yeah.
At the end of the process of invention is the prize of getting a patent. Patents are the way the government registers inventions and protects the new property of the inventor for a limited time. But it also guarantees that the public will benefit from the invention over the long run by publishing the blueprint or the patent, which allows others to duplicate and improve upon the invention. This process was so important to the Founding Fathers that the right to hold patents was written into the U.S. Constitution. No American has more patented inventions than Thomas Edison. His most famous started whole new industries: the phonograph, the light bulb, even the movies. But Edison also changed the way the world invents. In what some call his most important invention, Edison pioneered the idea of employing a team of people to continually develop new ideas. He called it his invention factory.
Edison was at the center of it, the invention of a process of invention and innovation. He developed this very sophisticated approach that has become the modern approach. It was a team of people working together and figuring out how to move from an idea to something that worked in the real world.
That idea led to the development of research and development laboratories, where most invention has taken place in the 20th century. Labs like the famous Bell Labs, owned by Lucent Technologies, where transistors, lasers, and cell phone networks were all invented. These R&D labs have accelerated the speed at which invention happens. Bell Labs receives, on average, 2 new patents per working day. It's that team approach that Kamen encourages at his company. Dozens of engineers and mechanics all work together to make a single product. One of their newest inventions is an electric wheelchair unlike any other. It can travel over rough terrain, over curbs. It can even climb stairs. Kamen and his team had spent years trying to build a wheelchair that could climb stairs, but each effort resulted in a massive piece of equipment that Kamen says looked like a little bulldozer.
Years into this project, I got out of the shower one morning and I slipped. I started to fall over, and I did what we all learn how to do. I started swinging my arms backwards, which gives you angular momentum to pitch your body forward. And I didn't fall over. I stood there, all wet, saying, "Isn't it amazing? Humans stand up. That's an unstable thing to do." And then it clicked to me that we were solving the wrong problem. It isn't the mobility we got to deal with, it's the balance. So I came running into the office that day and said, "Hey everybody, we're going to build a machine that balances, and it's going to put people on 2 points just the way people stand on their 2 feet, and a ballerina stands on her 2 toes."
The result was the iBot, which balances using state-of-the-art computing and gyroscopes. It also has one unexpected benefit. It can allow the wheelchair user to elevate the chair into a balancing position eye to eye with someone who is standing.
And now, when I talk to Phil or Mike, they're not experiencing my disability. If I were to look at Phil and not want to play with controls and just reach out and shake his hand, the machine responds. And if I sit back, the machine responds. In almost every single case of having a disabled person for the first time experience an iBot, inevitably, they just stand up and it balances and it brings them up to eye level. And they're just standing there. And they start to cry. The men, the women, everybody, because they got back that intangible capability. They got one step closer to being the way they remembered before their accident or whatever their issue was. And it's very emotional.
Every inventor stands on the shoulders of the inventors who came before. Where will the wheelchair evolve from here?
One of the crucial things about invention in general is that once an invention gets out there in the market, it isn't controlled by the inventor anymore. People are going to use it in surprising ways that you wouldn't imagine.
History demonstrates that a new technology frequently ends up being used for something the inventor never intended. Alexander Graham Bell was determined to help the deaf hear, and was essentially trying to build a hearing aid at the time he ended up inventing the telephone. Ironically, the only people that would not be helped by the telephone were the deaf. Even Edison misjudged his inventions. He envisioned the phonograph would be best suited as an office dictation machine. It took more than 30 years for an industry to develop to use the phonograph to play music. Edison invented an electric pen that had a fleeting success in the office, but later inspired the tattoo gun. Inventors frequently get it wrong. History is strewn with patents that someone must have thought were a good idea. Eye protectors for chickens, automatic hat tippers, and even rather aggressive alarm clocks.
How do you figure out what among your good ideas are going to turn out to be either impossible to implement or ridiculous if you could? How do you know which of the good ideas to pursue and which of the good ideas to shoot? If there was one thing I could get for free, it would be somebody whispered in my ear, stay away from that one.
Kamen says the most important inventions are not just useful tools, but they open up new possibilities. They are more than inventions. He calls them innovations.
The invention is the thing, or the idea that you give to the world and say, this is a better way to deal with your problem. But whether that invention, that technology becomes an innovation is a function of whether the public sees that as a real solution to a real problem. The can opener was the invention. But when the world adopted can openers and cans as a way to preserve and distribute food, then it became an innovation.
Kamen sees innovations as the key to human progress and is inspired to pursue them. He has made his home yet another place to encourage new ideas. He has a machine shop, just like at the office, to work on his ideas day or night. He also keeps his extensive collection of antique engines here, including a 3-story high tugboat engine that Kamen built his house around.
If I get enough weight on it, we can move the wheel. Needs a little work. See, it doesn't run yet, but if I get it all just right, I'll be able to push these levers and be in hyperspace before you know it. Let's see if there's a date on that.
The antique engine that fascinates Kamen the most these days is the Stirling, patented in 1816. It was elegantly engineered, but lost out to the more powerful internal combustion engine of the day. One of its unique advantages was that it could run off any type of fuel, including alcohol, charcoal, even burning cow dung. That's why Kamen is now redesigning the Stirling with today's high-tech tools to see if this 2-century-old invention could bring modern electricity to the rural, developing world.
What if you could have a little box that makes electricity and makes water potable and runs on any local fuel? That's what we're trying to build. This box is a complete working Stirling cycle engine and generator system. And I could come over here now and go into my power mode, and I could be anywhere in the world because it's getting to it through the internet. And I could hit start, and if all this works, instantly those lights will come on and you'll watch what happens. So I hit start, and nothing happened.
The prototype that Kamen keeps in the basement of his house shows that the technology still has a ways to go. But like all inventors, it's the challenge and the possibilities that inspire Kamen to keep at it.
Any local source of fuel can make that engine work. That little unit, we believe, would supply enough water for a small village of 100 people. And there are 700,000 villages that have about 100 people. And it would supply enough electricity so that the families in those villages would have a light bulb at night. And that first little bit of electricity, that's worth a lot. All of a sudden, you heard the air start to flow. The blowers are up to 5,400 RPM. You just heard the gas start to flow. Temperature's coming up. Look at this, 88 degrees. Look how fast it's rising. That's degrees centigrade, 216 degrees, 267 degrees. It sucked the head temperature down.
Kamen is clearly passionate about the Stirling,
Now the engine's making 55 watts of output power.
but it also illustrates the unpredictable path of invention.
Goes up 85 watts.
If a 2-century-old abandoned technology can improve life for millions of people today, it is yet another example that the right invention at the right time can change the world.
That's what invention is about, I think. It's about envisioning what the future is going to be and how invention is going to make that possible.
Inventors are incredibly important. They're the sort of heart and soul of a society based on technology.
People do it for the money, people do it because it's cool, people do it because it's a challenge. But why not add to that mix that what you do work on inventing happens to be something that'll really matter? As we look at the world today, there are enough really big issues that we need invention. We have to invent our way to a better future.